What's going on, everybody? I was gonna make a video that I've been planning for a while, but I thought I had to get this video out there first. And I I think that before start talking about the video, I think that more people should do videos like this because um, the the people out there, Kasa, Safada, all them uh, average people like us that are against vaping, don't know much about vaping, or against it because it's something they don't know about. They're not going to pay attention to groups like that. Now, us as vapors should pay attention to it, and we need to, and all that. But I think all of us vapors need to get our stories, on video, whatever, and let them be shared so you know average people will listen to our stories and listen to me, who doesn't make anything off of vaping. I don't profit anything from vaping except my health and enjoying it. And I've witnessed the the you know just I've the good in it. I've witnessed vaping be a great thing. Vaping is probably one of the greatest things I've witnessed my whole life, as far as like technology doing good for something. Like, yeah, a cell phone, but that ain't you know making us live longer. It ain't doing none of that. So um last week I went to visit family, and me and the family are talking, and out of nowhere, you know, I get asked, "What's going on with you and your dad and Alice with that vaping? Why do you guys do that?" But and I'm brushing it off because I'm sitting here trying to spend time with family and everything. And she's like, "It could give you popcorn lung." Now, whenever she said that, I literally pictured her reading it off of her timeline on Facebook, not clicking to read into it or anything, just clicking, just reading. Vaping gives you popcorn lung, and that was it. So, um, I didn't, really get into it with her because it wasn't the time for that. Um, Normally, I will educate anybody that wants to know or has any questions on vaping, or like I try to educate people as much as possible because my my thought is this: if you argue with somebody about vaping and sit there and yell and scream, vaping's better than cigarettes, that's just gonna make them hate it more, and that's it. Like it really is. Um, so I try to educate people, and I try and break down the ingredients, and I try and you know I'll pull out a bottle and be like, look, read the ingredients. There's 4 ingredients in this. There's 4,000 cigarettes. Like, do you know some of the chemicals that are in cigarettes? Do you know? Like, and I'll do that, but this just wasn't the time for that. But ever since I left, it's been eating away at me because I just I just keep on thinking of how many more people are out there. I've dealt with other situations where people have known nothing about vaping and are against it. So I thought I'd make this video sure to share my story with vaping, share my experience since I've been vaping, why I started vaping, and you know, hopefully it'll make others do the same thing, because we all need to get our story out there and show people that look, we have better health, we have, you know, seen good things happen because of this. It does do good things. It does more good things than it does bad things. Like we need to talk just as much as Kasai and all them are fighting at, in the White House and in Washington and all that. We need to do it outside because we're sort of going to be heard more. So, I figured I'd do this. If you guys, want to share it, or make your own, please do, please, because we need to. And just maybe if so much of the public isn't against vaping and have so much bad to say about it and understand it more, maybe that'll ease the possibility of it not being, just banned basically. So I've been vaping for a little over 13 months. Or no, actually, it's 13 months today. Right? Or no, 13 months yesterday. Today's January 11th. I started vaping on November 10th of 2014. I was looking for a way to quit cigarettes since March 1st of 2014. March 1st, 2014 is the day my grandmother, Connie Cables, passed away, 74 years old, of lung cancer. So, since that day, me and my dad and my stepmother were looking into ways to quit smoking cigarettes. We tried cold turkey, didn't work. Tried patches, all that. Like we really tried. My dad, he chewed tobacco, and he would wake up in like cold sweats, and it wasn't happening. Basically, we couldn't, even though we just had this drastic thing happen. We couldn't stop. So now my grandmother, I have to give a little bit of background on her, because to understand how severe, like tragic that was to us. My grandmother lived in Belle Vernon, PA, basically all my life. Belle Vernon, PA is about 45 minutes away from Pittsburgh, about 8 hours away from me. I would go there about 2 times a year if I was lucky, at least once every summer. And it was some of the greatest times of my life. It really was. I really enjoyed going there, and she had 15 acres of property, animals, and she would take care of it all herself. My grandpa Art passed away whenever I was 9 years old of emphysema, another smoking, related illness. And ever since 1996, she was by herself there. Me and my dad would try. My dad would try and get there, as many times as he could, but I know he wished he could more. He even actually thought about moving back out there, and so my grandmother was the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. She would take care of the property, go work, cut her grass with a push mower for 45 years until my dad finally bought her a ride on. And she really, like, she didn't need anybody to do anything for her. She didn't want anybody to do anything for her. So one day in 2010, I forget the exact day. Um, I'm at home. My dad calls me up, and I answer the phone. Normal, hey, what's up? And he's quiet, and he says 3 words, and I got quiet right there with him. He says, "Grandma's got cancer," and for about 5 minutes, I sat on the phone. Both of us just quiet. At first, people say they don't believe it. I didn't believe it because my grandmother's like a rock. But my grandmother smoked 2 packs of Salem 100s a day, every day. Like she smoked my whole life. So he says that, and automatically, me knowing my grandmother and just thinking she's Superwoman, I'm like, okay, so what she got to do? She's gonna beat this. She's going to like. So he's like, well, I'm gonna move her out there, and we're gonna make sure that she goes to all her appointments, gets the best help. We're gonna take her over to Philly. What is it? I forget oh my gosh, the cancer hospital. I forget the exact name. I'm sorry, but so we bring her out here, which was a big deal, because my grandmother left her house. It was a sad thing. It was horrible. She hated it. But we brought her out here, and basically to get her the help she needs. Little did we know that we were bringing her out here like to spend our last years with her. So we bring her out here. She's going to the doctors, everything. It finally gets to the point where he's like, okay, we're gonna start the chemo. Start her on the chemo. Chemo, was horrible. She lost her hair. She lost so much weight. She hated it. She hated that she was getting sick all the time, that she needed people to tend to her. So she goes through the chemo, and she actually starts getting better. Like the doctor, she's doing better. Her X-rays look better. So she's slowly getting better, and one day she fell in the shower and broke her hip. So while they're taking the X-rays for her hip replacement and everything, they find cancer in her leg. So and this wasn't caught as early, and whenever we found that out, it was hard, because we're like, our hopes were up, then they were brought right back down, but we still had in our back of our heads, Grandma's the strongest woman we know. It's gonna be one hell of a road, but she's gonna get through this. And she started the chemo on that, and whenever she started the chemo on that, or no, she had to go away, get her hip replacement, go through physical therapy and everything, came back, then started the chemo. And whenever she started the chemo on that, it wasn't the same. it was bad right from the start. I mean, it was just, it was bad. Like, um, she started not being able to get up, just not being able to move, being just in her bed, just like losing too much weight. Like, they expect you to get really skinny on chemo, but she was getting to the point where it was too much. She wasn't eating. Um, then she couldn't walk without a walker. Uh, and she didn't win that fight. Um, she got to the point where she couldn't talk, and me and my grandmother would sit, because I would go and see her. I wouldn't see her that much. Me and her would sit for days talking on her porch. We would sit. I would get there. We would talk that whole day. Go to sleep, wake up, come back out on the porch, talk. And now we're on my dad's porch, and she can't talk to me. She can't say nothing. Like, she's looking at me. I can tell she understands me. But I could tell she wishes she could talk. So, um, we, it just, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. Even after that, it got to the point where hospice came, all that, and we literally, like, the last time I went and saw my grandmother, she, it was that time where I walk in and I know, like, I know, I, I, I fell apart, um, but she would still have the, the nurse bring her out and put her in the wheelchair, and uh, bring her out on the porch. So the last time I was there, she's in a wheelchair, and we're out on the porch, and I look at her, and I just look at her and I see it, and we stare at each other for like a minute, and I'm like, Grandma, I love you, right? And I just kept, I love you, I love you. And we left. A day later was March 1st, and I got the call at 2 o'clock in the morning. Me and my fiance actually just moved into an apartment. We're sitting down because we just moved all our stuff, and I sit down, and my dad calls me, and he's like, Grandma's going on. And I mean, like, so that was horrible. I mean, to witness that, to witness, one of the, somebody you love the most in the world just get brought down to nothing. And my grandmother strictly drank water, ate healthier than anybody I've ever met in my life. She there was no reason for her to get cancer, even though I know people get cancer that don't smoke and all that. She smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. There was no other reason that she got cancer except cigarettes. So, I go to the viewing, and I'm a mess at the viewing, and I'm sitting there, and a lady comes up to me. I got my head down like this. A lady comes up to me. She says, "Charles, my name's Melissa, and I was your grandmother's nurse, and before she passed, she wanted me to tell you something. She wanted me to tell you that she loves you too. And I like that was I was a mess after that. Like it it was such a crazy thing. So I we go we actually have another viewing in Bell Vernon. We go to Bell Vernon. We have the viewing. She's cremated. She always wanted to be cremated. She's cremated. On the way back, me and my dad and my stepmom were driving in the car, and I say, and I'm like, you know, we gotta quit. And I didn't even have. They're like, yeah, we know, because we would talk about it the whole time my grandmother was sick, and we're like, you know, we felt horrible. Look what it does to you. And we're sitting there puffing on cigarettes and everything. And so we come back, we start trying to find ways to quit and everything. Nothing's working. And we actually bought they got a Logic, I got a Blue e-cig. Worked for my stepmom. My stepmom, she would be happy with a Logic right now. Like, she was good with that. But me, it didn't work for. My dad, it didn't work for. Or my dad, it actually did work for a while. But me, I was still smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, just smoking that e-cig in between. And then I seen one of my friends have a mod, and he's vaping, and I'm like, what's that? And he says it's, you know, explains how that's basically like that, like e-cig but better, and so it tells me about it. I go home, I order one that day, and I got it, didn't know nothing about it, went to a vape shop that I heard about, Major Flavor, and went there, and they're doing a build for me, had me taste the flavors, and then I tasted Death by Toucan, and it was like love at first sight. I tasted Death by Toucan, haven't smoked a cigarette since. And I brought my dad there. My dad tasted Sick Boy Catatonic, and that's all he vapes. He has RX 200 with a Crown Tank. He lives by the Crown Tank, and Catatonic in it, and he's good. My stepmom, she went and got one of them Vision spinners, and she's Sick Boy Deviant, and they're both Blue Death, which is another Major Flavor Major Flavor. And we've been good since, and I've met so many people. I still go to that same vape shop, only vape shop I go to, and I love it. I've, you know, just really enjoyed it. My health, just the way I smell, my kids' health. My kids, I never smoked with my kids, like, in a room with me or anything, but I would smoke and go right to them and hold my daughter, and, you know, so my kids' health, my kids used to always get really, really stuffed up in the winter, like, really bad, like, couldn't breathe, couldn't, like, and, they haven't, all this winter, you know, all last winter, it's crazy, and I just don't. Whenever people say they try and down it, all I remember is whenever people try and down vaping and all this, for some reason, all I remember is me and my grandmother having them convos on her porch and her just smoking a cigarette the whole time. Then it turned into both of us smoking a cigarette. And that's all I remember. And I mean, you can't, there's no argument. And I'm sorry, but for, ingredients versus 4,000 chemicals, there's no argument there. And especially when you look at the PG, flavoring nicotine. Nicotine, okay, like, that's what people don't understand, how not bad nicotine is. Yeah, it's addictive and all that, but so is caffeine. So, like, it's just. So, yeah, I know this video went on for a long time, but I just wanted to get my story out there. Please share it. Please make a video of your own. Let's get all our stories out there so people really start understanding and realizing what vaping is and how much better it is for the world. I mean, if everybody vape, no secondhand smoke, no, it's just better. It really is. It creates jobs. I just want to make this so people that don't vape or are against it actually look into it and start getting it. All right, guys. Peace.